So thank you, Black Rose, for that this topic. Legal documents used in game development. Um, we're not talking about the GDD here. We're talking about legal
No.
documents.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the first one is, of course, the main contract.
Yes.
If you're partnering up with a publisher or an investor or anything like that,
Yes.
then you're going to want to have a very detailed contract.
Yeah.
Okay, listing out what you're going to be doing, what they're contributing, and what your mutual obligations are.
Literally what we know this from firsthand experience now working on the contract for Blue Ghost. Literally. I will say this. It is extremely important that either your lawyer, the other person's lawyer, or you yourself are familiar with the nuances of how game development works. Because a lot of people who work in the industry of software development tend to lump game development and its processes like software development, and that is not a good thing.
It's not the same.
It's not.
Actually.
It's not. Game development is a lot more like making a movie, but it happens to be interactive on software. So a big thing is let's talk about milestones, okay? When you're getting your legal documentation ready, make sure that the expectation is there as to what milestones your project is going to have. For those of you who know about the dev cycle, we're talking about things like proof of concept, vertical slice, early alpha, late alpha, early beta, early access if there's early access, late beta, silver, gold, the usual. And make sure that when you're forming the contract, okay, that the person who you're signing the contract with understands that while those are important milestones, that they're not set in stone. Much like creating a movie. You know, movies go over time all the time. Literally all the time.
Yeah, what's most important is the actual milestone, not the time frame the milestone is tied to. Because as Steele said, things can happen and you can get delayed.
Absolutely.
And so while you will make the milestone, it may not happen in the initial time period that you said it would happen.
Right. Like,
so people have to understand that there's got to be some wiggle room there to account for a disaster, such as your dev server dying,
right,
and you have to get a new one and set it up again, that sort of thing, or something happens to one of your developers.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's all kinds of things that you need to think about. So when you're building a contract, you absolutely want to have a couple of caveats in there about the timing.
Yes. And this also, as Teal says, with milestones, brings us to a point about milestones. When you're generating your plan, whether it be the plan that's going to be internal with your team, for an investor, for a publisher, and this is to anyone, even if you're just doing it yourself, make those milestones in the terms of months, not years, months.
Yeah.
So you have like your 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, all the way up to 36 months or however long your life cycle is.
Right.
Yeah. And in fact, make that exhibit A, make that an exhibit of the contract, the legal documentation that you and the publisher or investor are signing. Here's where we're going to be. Here's milestone 1, which is going to be approximately 3 months in. Here's milestone 2, approximately 6 months, et cetera, all the way out to when the gold releases. Make sure they understand that that is not a hard and fast, like we were just talking about.
But it's an intended guidepost. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So that any party, even somebody who just walks up and looks at the contract, has no knowledge, no prior knowledge of this, can look at it and go, okay, so this milestone happens around the 6 month mark. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. It could be the 7th month, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We know that this milestone is what we're looking at right now. This is what
100%.
should be coming out of the pipe.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And then I think the last one to really touch on here, as far as a contract and really any legal documentation, is a release schedule for both funds and the game. That's really important, super important.
The disbursement schedule,
Mhm.
especially if you're making a contract with an investor, somebody who's putting money into this,
Yeah.
a significant amount of money, you need to have a funds disbursement schedule. So, and again, the best thing to do instead of tying it to um, a dateline,
Right.
tie it in with the milestones.
Right.
So when you achieve this milestone you have on the 6th month, when you achieve that milestone, then X amount of funds are dispersed
Right.
to your company, and then you take and disperse those funds however they need to be dispersed to keep the work going.
There you go. There you go.
But that disbursement schedule needs to be in there because even if you're getting an entire let's just pull a lump sum out of our butt. Let's say $800,000, and you're getting all that at once, and you put it in an escrow account. You're still going to need to have a disbursement schedule.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, the actual release schedule for the game. You know, that when you hit this milestone, like if you're talking to a publisher, so when you hit milestone X, you go into early access, and it goes up to early access on Steam. And when you hit milestone Z, then at that point, then the publisher has to publish the game.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know, have that. So that is legal documentation and things like contracts, but there's also copyright and IP protection documentation that's needed.
Yes, there is.
And we've talked about that, but it needs to be gone over again, because if you lose your intellectual property, you're done, son. You're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
So you file the copyright as soon as you get that contract signed.
Yeah.
I mean it. As soon as you've got the green light to start this project, you get those copyright paperwork filed.
Copyright the game's idea, setting, characters, synopsis. Copyright any particular proprietary systems that you're creating. Copyright any assets that are going to be created just for the project.
Just for the project, yes.
Copyright the GDD. Please copyright the GDD. All of that.
All of it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're actually going to develop an actual scripting code, a proprietary engine system, then you're going to want to file for, I guess, a patent.
Yes. You.
If you're coming up with something brand new, and bless you if you do this, if any of you do this, but if you come up with something brand new, you get your butt online and you get that thing patented.
Yes. You pay the price for it.
Yes.
You pay for it.
But it's worth it.
It is worth it. The best thing to remember is this: copyrights for ideas, trademarks for substantial creations like characters and logos, patents for technology.
Yes.
That's it.
That's the big three.
Yes. KV asks, what are good sites for document templates or to learn about legal docs for game? You need to learn specifically about media style contracts and media style documentation. You can go to like LegalZoom and get basic stuff, but you're going to want to actually do a search for media contracts and media lawyers. LegalZoom is probably the best place to start, but I would not stop there. I wouldn't use that as
no, don't stop there. Yeah. Right. This is going to be really dry reading, but the U.S. Patent Office has an excellent website with instructions on how to do this, that, and the other for patents. Very, very dry reading.
Very dry.
But that is the standard.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the stuff you have to do if you're going to do something like that.
Absolutely. So hopefully that helps push you guys in the direction of legal documents for the creation of your game. Of course, Those are, oh, did I not finish?
No, you're not done yet. You're not done yet.
Pardon me.
Okay.
Pardon me.
Now, you assemble your team, right? You need to have NDAs.
Shoo, boy, I almost ended the video and screwed that one up. You cannot not have an NDA. Holy shit. Thumbs up to Teal.
Who comes in, even if someone comes in and puts a pink dot in your level.
Yes.
And that's all they do. Guess what? NDA.
NDA. Everyone involved in your project from start to finish has to sign a NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I almost messed that up. Ooh. You know, I'm saying I get so wrapped up in what I'm doing that I forget the obvious. Also, an NCA is also important. A non-compete, much not as important as the NDAs.
The NCAs I think would be used for the developers.
Yes.
Like the actual people who are doing the coding.
Right.
Because they're in the biggest position, I think, to walk off with your stuff.
Yeah. And what an NCA basically says is that
non-compete.
Non-compete. And an NDA is whatever you know about in relation to this project, regardless of the size of your contribution, you cannot talk about it. An NCA is you can't work directly for our competitors for X amount of time.
Right.
That's basically it.
That's pretty important, and that's why when you're hiring on people, you got to pay them. You got to pay them good. Because you make them sign the NCA, and well, their only recourse is to walk.
Yeah, that is pretty much it. Yeah.
But yeah, you run into a whole lot of trouble, and we've talked about this in other venues that we've done. But pay people.
Oh yeah, totally.
Pay people a good wage, what they're worth.
Please.
And nobody does anything for free. And please don't get your brother-in-law to do anything.
Yeah. Even if your best buddy, who hangs out with you all the time and is your best friend, even if all he does is just create the UI in Photoshop, pay him something, even if it's a little bit. Pay him.
Yep. He signs the contracts and he gets paid.
Yeah, he signs the contract.
End of discussion.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
So I believe we've addressed all of the important documentation, the important legal documents. There's probably some others, but that's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. Agreed. Let us know in the comments what you think. Was this helpful enough to jumpstart you on your journey for legal documentation? Make sure, of course, you speak to a lawyer. We're not attorneys. We can't actually dispense legal advice. We can just point you in a direction to start.
Really should get an attorney that's familiar with games, or a media lawyer.
Yes.
Because even a media lawyer, they will understand the commercial aspect of your game.
Yeah, 100%. And if you're sitting there going, well, I can't afford a lawyer, please understand, if you cannot afford a lawyer to look over the legal side of your game, you cannot afford to make your game.
You got to have some kind of attorney look over your stuff.
It may cost you $300. It may cost you $500. It is beyond worth it.
Initial consultations are generally a lot lower. So just in my experience, my humble experience here, initial consultations with a lawyer are generally pretty low.
Generally.
Yeah.
But hopefully this helps you guys, and let us know in the comments if you have any other variations of this you want to talk about. If you want us to focus on something, let us know your own personal experiences, right? Let us know.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So if you like what you saw, lay the smack down the like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect us over Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.